it is time for the third match of the evening. Peace and Chiefs going head-to-head. And it is a battle of the top of the table. Peace, if they do get the W, can get towards the top and tie up there with Chiefs. Of course, going head-to-head, they will have the advantage, but even so, it's very early in the split, so maybe it won't matter. Maybe it will once we get towards the end. So this game could be of the utmost importance. And from what we saw from PC yesterday, are we expecting them to look a bit better today? I guess we'll find out shortly. Before we talk about the teams, we got some content from the fans, from you guys at home. Of course, there's one in particular that I'm going to get on the screen right now. It's from Davo Erlo. Who wore it better is the question. And Jubes, look, you're having a good time. Who actually did wear it better?
Can I, no disrespect, Rusty, I think Homer's got it covered.
I think the slacks with the scarf, man. Like
That's what I'm
actually
saying.
envious of that fit. Like
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he's got better hair game than me, because I think we're all going that
don't
direction
think he's
in
got
the end,
any.
aren't we?
Well,
But,
yeah, in that photo, I think it's when he actually shaved, hence the dots and not the hairs on his head.
Yeah.
So he's gone full bald without
That's
the three
it's like a
hairs
Peaky Blinders fit. I like it.
His beard game's slightly better.
Yeah, true. It's
Where is his
very
beard?
clean
You know.
outline.
That yellow, that creamy chunk on his mouth is his beard.
Yep.
It's a bit, looks like a beak.
Well, anyway, Rusty, I admire your beak sometimes too. But let's
guess that's
jump
fair.
into Mimo number Tuna. Tuna? Speaking of tuners, Ocean. David Hasselhoff, what's going on here? Mount Nizzle. If I order a meal from LCO.gg slash DoorDash, how long until it gets to California? And LCO replied that we'll swim it over. So, I don't know. Who's going to be doing that?
Probably Jubes.
I'll put my hand up.
I'm pretty sure you don't need to swim it over. It's just they have it there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do.
Why
Uh,
make things easy though? You know,
Yeah.
when you can do it the hard way.
guess.
When you can do it the hard way and make some sick content at the same time, you know, I could have a GoPro or something on my head and
Better
swim
start warming
across
up.
the Pacific.
You know,
It's
you're
gonna
gonna have to
be
get
sick.
there and back by Friday. You know, we can't afford to miss you for any show, Mac. So you don't have much time. Probably have to
Well,
leave straight after this show.
I could do it if I leave at Friday at midnight. Then
You have
if
to
I
get back by
swim-
Tuesday.
I don't know if I'd even make it to New Zealand by Monday, but
I don't reckon you would.
I could give it my best bet, my best attempts, and worst case, jump on a plane, which would, in this day and age, probably be really illegal. So let's talk about logistics off stream, and let's talk about the games now.
Or
So
not
it
at
is
all.
going to be Peace and Chiefs going head-to-head. Let's talk Peace first, because they finally got another W on the board yesterday, and it looked a little bit more convincing, didn't it, Rusty?
I mean, it definitely looked more convincing. It felt like they had hard defaulted to what we know works for them, which is let Violet do everything and just enable Violet to do everything. Very successfully getting ganks off, very successfully giving kills to the young ultra-violet AD carry down there. And Lisa did get the DoorDash player of the game, even on his first time playing support, hits the Nautilus clutch hooks, and that's not even considering that Appy had a pretty good performance overall, particularly once we started hitting those team fights. Very good timing on me saying that, wasn't it?
Yes,
but nevertheless, I'm higher on Peace than I have been in past weeks, just from what we saw from their ability to team fight, miraculously almost, given the roster change.
And Jordan, you were on the sidelines yesterday watching this from the rafters, I guess. What did you think of the game?
I'm not sure why I'm up on the rafters. Anyway, that's an aside.
You're a tall
I
guy.
was pretty happy from what I saw from Peace. I mean, it's been a really weird split for them, hasn't it? It's been a bit of a roller coaster. So they've obviously had some roster changes. We know that there's some more yet to come. That was announced on Twitter earlier today as well. So I think they're sort of in this transition period where whatever they can get out of this week is going to be a pretty good result. And having already found themselves a win, you're going to be happy with that. Can they find a win today against Chiefs? A Chiefs that's looking like the top contender this split. I think that's a tough ask for Peace. But overall, I'm sort of saying like job well done already at this point for them.
Well, that is the question. Chiefs are at the top of the leaderboard, and they're there for a reason. They've been getting dubs. They've been looking good. And Juves, what has been their key to success?
I think the big key to success has been Kisei and Swaif, their newfound synergy, their the dynamic duo featuring, like, you know how you make a song and it's a duet and it's Swaif and Kisei, then Dracu just features on the album, because I feel like he's done a very good job in facilitating their 2v2 and making it a 3v2, right? But no, everyone on the Chiefs, in a serious note, has done a fantastic job just improving individually. And then when you combine that with what has been a more cohesive unit, they are just like what is the scariest team in the LCO right now. And it's probably a lot of buzzwords. Like, it doesn't mean anything until you see it, right? Or it's like, you know, it's just very vague statements with not much substance. But I mean, it really just has been each week a new person puts on the carry pants, and a new person is the guy to 1v9 the game. Like in this game, it was Suede, you know. And then in other games, Imboma may not have the flashiest scoreline, but I would argue that to be a weak side 80 carry and come out of lane even or ahead, that's a 1v9 in my books. Like you've literally enabled the rest of the map to carry the game.
And look, only asked for the snip, Rusty, and we did see Swathe certainly deliver it. So do you think that was the best Gwen performance we've seen so far in the DoorDash LCO?
You know, the interesting thing about Swaith is that when he latches onto a champion, he usually becomes the best at that champion. You know, Shania, and I think he might have just found his new thing with the Gwen. There's a chance, and only foretold it and may have regretted that shortly afterwards. And we definitely saw one of the best Gwens that I think we have seen, yeah.
There you go. And we have two players waiting for you, Jubes, down for the pre-game interview. Do you want to take us down there?
Yeah, usually I go down to the side lane, but we're going to do this one in the mid lane. I got DragQ and I've got Lisa here. How are we, gentlemen?
You good?
Yeah, good. Thanks, guys. One of you responding, I appreciate it. Maybe I should have called out a name. All good. Lisa, what was your first game like playing support? Personally, I think you had a bit of a blinder, some fantastic hooks, really good aggression. How did you feel?
Not gonna lie, that game I feel pretty good because I was playing Lotus. Like you said yesterday, like as a jungle player, Lotus has like all the things like jungler wants to be doing. I can engage, I can like protect my support. I mean AD, Violet. I can like start a fight very easy. So I enjoyed the game playing Lotus.
Okay, firstly, you are genuinely my favorite player because you actually listen to me when I cast. So that's fantastic. DragQ. Obviously, on a bit of a tear, on a bit of a win streak, coming up against Peace. How are you feeling about this game?
Well, I guess we're really confident, but we still respect Peace, and all 5 of their players are pretty good. Especially Lisa. Lisa surprised me actually. He's actually, I would actually put him in the top like 4 or 3 maybe as supports for this split. Like no cap, he's actually not even that bad. So I think. Yeah, we're just going to respect them and we'll just try our best. But last time, we threw a 5k gold lead, so...
Oh, are you telling me that you're going to not try and throw the gold lead this game?
For sure. If we get a gold lead this time, we've actually improved for the last 3 weeks. We're just constantly improving, so, you know, justice for Aladoric, we're just going to hold the gold lead this time, if we get a gold lead.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thanks for joining me. I'm excited to see this. It's my game of the week. Best of luck, gentlemen, and yeah, give it all you got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, that was
Can I say...
Yes?
Can I say, sorry for cutting you off, every time I interview DragQ or he talks, he has this grin on his face, like you know something is coming. Like you know, you're waiting for him to build the confidence up to just let this dime piece drop. And like you can see it coming out each time. Like the grin gets more and more, and he's like, he goes from like this, and then he drops it, and then anyway, that was just my story about DragQ. I swear, I see it coming every time.
Well, good to know that you've noticed his tendencies, and you should be a coach, Jubes. You should be a life coach as well.
I actually did coach DragQ for a little bit.
Oh, there you go. Well,
Same.
someone that's also been a coach is Rusty, and he's also in the lead with the predictions. So let's have a look at the predictions and where they currently sit now after last game. 25-5. That's a pretty good track record there, Rusty. And it looks like I got another one on the board too. So thank you, Twitch chat, for predicting the correct team. Anyone want to let us know why they're going for Chiefs here? Rusty, you first.
I mean, yeah, I can tell you why I'm going for the Chiefs. It is because they're currently the best team in the league. And the margin with which I'm saying that is starting to grow every single day that we watch them play. Their consistency has surprised me. And again, I feel like they're a team that has a pretty known recipe. And this is always the matchup where I think they have the highest chance of losing just because of the way they play. They are usually a weak side bot lane team, and Peace usually hard win bot lane. So while there is a high chance they lose this game, I have a lot of faith in Chiefs' consistency overall compared to someone like Peace, who are just playing around Violet.
Okay, and Jordan, tell me why you've gone for Chiefs as we do jump over to the second page here.
Yeah, look, I think it's for the same reasons as Rusty. I'm sort of feeling that Peace is still a little bit volatile. I think it's hard to predict for them when they've only just had this roster change, bringing Lisa into the support role for what will be his second game in the LCO in that role. That already screams to me that there's going to be a bit of a vulnerability there. And considering the fact that Chiefs have looked very, very consistent, very, very good for the last 4 weeks, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't predict Chiefs here. There is obviously always the possibility against a side like Peace that there could be, a game dropped here by Chiefs. But overall, all signs are pointing towards a win for the Chiefs. So why not throw the prediction their way?
And look, I'm very interested in which way Twitch chat decides to predict this one. Either way, it is time for the draft. But before we do jump in to Champ Select, we're going to have a quick powwow with the Chiefs.
We aren't a team that's really like bound by rigid rules or meta. Like, we're willing to experiment, we're willing to try new things, and we're willing to catch our opponent off guard.
The audience should be excited to see our early game skirmishing. I think that's one shining light about our team. We just take a lot of, like, I guess, skill check fights.
Such a beautiful flanking angle. He has everything. Flashes, hits the ultimate, knocks the ball in place. Combine that with a sign. You're gone. It's all over.
Some of the other teams have had like players that have played together for years. So just building up that synergy over like the off season has been the main thing that we've been working on, I'd say.
Everyone on my team actually has started lifting. It's like everyone actually talks about the gym and anime actually. Space is the only one that doesn't know anything about anime.
And we'll go down for first blood. That's opener for the Evelyn.
We don't like to get super hyped. There's some players, I think like Dracu. Dracu likes to get quite hyped before a match, but I think the rest of us like to stay kind of cool, calm and collected.
He's like a lot of like the energy and the heart behind the team. Like, when he gets fired up, I think everyone else gets fired up too.
I guess what fires us up is just the thought of winning on like the land stage to Worlds eventually as a team, like with the boys, you know?
I don't really have like that mentality. It's versus other teams and beat them.
The recall is unsuccessful. 1 kill into 2. Snap back and get 3. Swaith is huge.
You can't really sugarcoat it. It is an absolute shellacking.
I think we're pretty good at playing from behind at times. We kind of look for whoever's strong on our team or whoever the win con is. And we sort of give them a chance to carry the game.
I think all of us have like pre-game rituals. Like for me, I like do some push-ups and stretch. Like Matt meditates. I don't know what Swaith does. I know Ron like just comes late, so I don't know if he has a ritual.
The Chiefs take down the victory. 26 minutes on the clock, and they take down Legacy.
Very clean victory from the Chiefs, you know, no hiccup at all really. If you had to review that game, they have to be happy with that.
I guess for Peace we want to get revenge because Peace knocked us out last split and Pentanet obviously won and went to MSI. Pentanet, we sort of want to get the chance to play them because we never got to play them in a best of 5 last split. I'm also jealous because I felt like we could beat them and I wanted to be achieving what they were achieving. I wanted to see the volcanoes in Iceland.
I would say my attitude hasn't changed, but my experience definitely has. Coming in split 1, I was coming back from like a year break from playing the game at all. Just playing a whole split, playing with the team, just like really refreshed that for me. So I feel really renewed in like vigor and mindset coming into the new split.
It's a game that you absolutely hate to see if you're on the receiving end of it right now.
Definitely don't underestimate us.
Watch your backs as soon as the game starts.
Don't underestimate us. We'll fight to the death.
We'll probably win, so good luck.
Well, don't underestimate us seems to be the prevailing theme right there, Rusty, and I don't think anyone's underestimating Chiefs anymore. They're 6-1. They come into every game as the favourite. But maybe that's not something that they're too used to after the first split, and I wonder if that is going to prey upon their thoughts. We get another Ziggs hover here from the Chiefs. Was I wrong? Was I wrong in that this was not going to be...
is that type of player, Jordan. I'll give you that. So
That's
you
true.
may be wrong in that, like, they've opened a can of worms. Scrims this week have been something else, I'm telling you. If every team, because usually what happens, right, is you've got your 2 opponents, maybe 3 opponents this week. You scrim the other teams.
Yeah.
So often you like develop your own meta and they'll do their own thing, but everyone's playing Ziggs. So clearly the whole world has seen this all at the same time. It might just be the best bottom laner right now.
Guess we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense when we're talking about Mboma. It was probably not something I would have expected from the other teams, but certainly seems in the wheelhouse for the Chiefs. Seems to fall into what they'd like to go for. Can't imagine Violet would have been particularly eager to get on towards something like a Ziggs, so he's probably not too disappointed to see that one go over to the Chiefs. We do have the Viego picked up for Peace, and actually an Ezreal for Violet, which is not something he's played at all this split, and I'm almost 100% sure he didn't play it last split. Certainly a bit of a departure from the normal champions that he likes to look for. So that is an interesting one immediately.
He could definitely play the Ezreal. It's not too far away from his wheelhouse, but yeah, he does have the preference to the Zarya and the Kai'Sa, two big standouts in terms of priority. Seeing the Ziggs on the other side, Ezreal's pretty free to farm with, and Karma, a pick that I've mentioned a couple of times now in all of these drafts. I really like the choice by the draft lord himself on the side of Peace, because you put an Ezreal with a Karma and you do actually get to navigate around the push of his Ziggs nicely, and it does make the Ezreal lane a bit stronger as well if that's the lane they choose to put it in. And we also know that Appy is a highly capable player of supports and enchanters, so I like the flexibility that they've gone for here in their first 3 picks. I think Peace overall, strong start to the draft. Not that the Chiefs have a weak start to the draft either. Diana Lee Sin is a powerhouse duo.
Yeah, especially when it's Lee Sin that we're talking about that more than likely will be headed into Kisei's hands, and it's sort of been his signature champion so far this split. He's played it 4 times already. This will be his 5th out of 8 days of competition, so he's certainly leaning towards that champion quite a lot, if that does end up going to him. Can only imagine that it would be. Obviously, Diana into the jungle. We'll see where things do end up going, though. Got a Yasuo ban through from Peace, which is probably an interesting one, not something we see every day. Kindred and Xin taken away by the Chiefs. They don't want to be seeing any of those powerful junglers heading over into Peace's hands.
So the thing is, right, with the Ziggs priority that we're starting to see more and more of, you've got a pretty strong AP damage source down in the bottom lane in terms of like scaling AP damage. So you can realistically go Diana Yasuo as an insane teamfight combo with the Ziggs.
Yeah.
And being able to play AD mid laners becomes more powerful when you're able to draft the Ziggs in the bottom lane. So that's something that I know the Chiefs have got in their wheelhouse, because we see the Heimerdinger go bot lane, right? And we see the double AD from mid and top lane. So it's not unfamiliar territory for us to see. I'm not shocked that it's a Yasuo ban.
Looks like it'll be Galio for Dragku. A lot of roam potential with that champion. And that sort of plays into his playstyle as well. He likes to be all over the map. I feel like Dragku is the support that actually tends to spend the least amount of time in the bot lane. And having a champion like Galio will certainly assist that. He's got good engage, good lockdown. And obviously once he does hit level 6, that ultimate as well just assists him in getting all over the place as necessary. Hecarim through for Babip is not a bad choice either. Definitely a strong champion these days, and we've seen him, yesterday picking up the Hecarim as well. So something that he's been prone to piloting over the course of this split.
Okay. If they choose to go for a mid laner here, this does confirm that it's the Ez-Karma bot lane that I was speculating. This should put Appy on the Viego top side, and once again does give a bit of extra team fight utility for the side of Peace. We mentioned Dragku being the Galio. It's definitely possible that that's flexible.
Yeah.
And the Galio could just be in the hands of Kisei. The reason that I bring that up is because we have seen pretty unsuccessfully, actually, the Chiefs when they put Kisei on a Galio champion supportive. So we don't want to see it. I'm really glad that that's not the direction that they choose to go, and they instead give Lived his Trundle, which was massively successful yesterday, and should be in a decent matchup to fight again today.
Yeah, so let's keep an eye on the bot lane here for Peace, actually, because yesterday we were talking a lot about Lisa with that Nautilus having a really good game, and now he's gone for a completely different champion. Karma, look, I will say it's probably not the most difficult of supports to play. I actually almost feel like Nautilus kind of requires a little bit more brain power in that bot lane than what Karma does in a lot of instances, just because you need to be sometimes a little careful with your engages. So if he can make the Nautilus work, I've got all the faith in the world that he can make the Karma work here, to be quite honest with you. But it is something to note, just a little bit of a change up down there for him as he sort of navigates his way through this support role. Quite interested to see how that one does go. Also interested to see how Violet does on the Ezreal, because again, like I mentioned, not a champion that we've seen from him at all so far in LCO. Obviously got faith that, being such a solid marksman player, that he's going to be able to make this one work. But it is, again, just a bit of a departure. So a few change-ups here for the Peace roster, in the mid lane, in the jungle, in the top lane, nothing too crazy to shout out. I mean, Halo on the Orianna, definitely you know, tried and true, combo that with the Hecarim. I think that can definitely work quite nicely for Peace. So definitely not a bad roster put together for them. The Chiefs, I'm also happy to see Swaith kind of on another one of these quote-unquote carry junglers. You know, when Diana gets ahead, she's a real pain to deal with. So it looks like both teams have got a pretty solid draft. I think both teams are pretty happy with how that's panned out.
You know, the one thing that I will say about the Karma as well is if you play against someone who off-rolls and they play Karma support, they're often someone who throws the nuke Qs, right? They Mantra empower just their Qs, but this is a competitive game and you're expecting the Mantra shields, the Mantra E to be going onto the Hecarim for move speed, the Ezreal because it's Violet that is going to be the carry for them. So very interested to watch how Lisa does perform down there as he is against the other off-roll, you know, transition player, Drag, who was a top laner before a support.
Yeah, well, I can only imagine it's going to be an exciting matchup. And one thing that I'm super excited about, Rusty, is the man, the myth, the legend. We've got Kuden for an interview once again. I know the people are very excited to hear from you, Kuden. So I want to start things off by saying I think it's pretty obvious at this point that Chiefs is the #1 team in the LCO at the current moment. But my question is, does that make you the #1 coach in the LCO?
Of course, always have been the #1 coach, no matter where the Chiefs stand.
Okay, that's good. And to follow that, I wanted to know who do you think is the second highest coach? Who do you think is the #2 coach? You know, if you're #1.
Doesn't matter. Nobody knows how to coach except me.
Doesn't matter, everyone else is trash. That's fair enough. I think I respect that. Anyway, let's talk about this matchup in particular. Last time you guys played in week 1, you did actually lose to Peace, but feels like a lot has actually changed, not only for yourselves, but obviously for Peace as well. So how do you guys sort of feel going into this matchup? I'm assuming you're obviously considering yourselves the favorites.
Yeah, I think Peace are looking like the bottom 2 team without Alodoric. Alodoric was their best player by far. To be honest, if Alodoric could play a different role on Peace and probably be better. That's how good he is. So yeah, I'm really confident now.
Interesting to see how that works out.
Without Alodoric, they stand a chance.
We'll see. All right. The other and final question that I did have actually for you today, Kuden, is in relation to the Chiefs playstyle. Obviously, it's a little bit contrary, I think, to what most teams are opting for in the LCO. Obviously, looking towards that weak side bot lane as opposed to, you know, what might traditionally be like a weak side top or something like that. I wanted to know, like, what's the driving force behind the Chiefs playstyle and ethos behind the game? Is it you, or is it the players, or, you know, how does it all sort of come together within the Chiefs camp?
Whatever it takes to win. There's no weak side. We're all strong. We all play as one. There's no place. There is no style. We have no style. It's on your head. There's no such thing as style.
Fair enough. Interesting. Well, we'll see how this sort of pans out then for the Chiefs. Okay, thank you very much, Kuden. Appreciate your time.
Justice for Alodoric.
All right, we'll have a chat next time, I'm sure, with Kuden, and he's always an interesting one to get the insights from, Rusty. But looking at the game so far, really not a whole lot to chat about.
Yeah, I mean, a pretty calm start so far. Leash on the bot side was a blue to full clear for the Diana. Similar thing can be said towards Babib as well on the Hecarim. And while there is no sides to the way Chiefs play League of Legends, there's definitely a weak side on the map right now, Jordan. And there has been the entire split in season, so we'll see how their weak side becomes not weak as the game progresses.
Indeed, and look, I don't necessarily disagree with him in that they are all strong. I think that we've been seeing some great stuff from the Chiefs so far this split, and so I'm looking forward to sort of seeing how that one does pan out.
Comes back to the initial point, though, just quickly on the draft as well. It's very difficult to play a Ziggs and a Galio very early in the game against a Karma. Ezreal is basically untouchable, and Karma commands the lane effectively by herself. So, in essence, it should just be playing out the way that it currently is. They'll push, they'll give priority. Peace also path from top to bot. This is the second path from top to bottom. So there's waves of opportunity, like now.
Well, nice taunt in there from Dragku, but he didn't get the knock up from the E. And so he'll actually be forced to flash away. And that's, you know, one of the difficulties of playing the Galio is that when you're in, there is no way out. So you really have to make sure that you're making that commitment and it's going to work.
Absolutely. And Lisa also passes the vibe check for support Karma. He actually does Mantra W. So it doesn't go for the Mantra Q and try and do high damage. He actually understands the lane trading. And again, is starting to impress me more and more.
It's good to see. Up in the top lane, though, maybe what might not be too good to see for Appy is just getting punched away. In the end, he'll be able to get out relatively comfortably. This opens up the door a little bit for Peace, looking for the dragon. But here comes Drag-Ku, a dragon of his own, and oh, well, has run into Lisa. Now, remembering, there is no flash available right now for Drag-Ku. Looks like that won't be too big of a deal. He'll just wander out to safety. But the first dragon of the game goes the way of Peace, a very early one as well. We get the ball rolling nicely.
Yeah, I definitely do. Super early dragon as well. At the end of the day, playing towards the correct side of the map, if you're a Peace fan, is what you're seeing from them so far. Pretty solid. You know, while there's no gold swings or advantages, it's not something you would expect to see. The one place where there is an advantage is actually against Appy. So again, we've been highlighting a lot of the bottom play style. It hasn't affected Mboma in terms of farm. It's very difficult to stop a Ziggs from farming. Not as difficult to stop a Viego on the weak side of the map from farming at all. Swaith wants to really hit that home on this cannon wave.
Dive in the top lane, teleports coming through from both sides. Appy low on HP, a great shockwave though from Halo. Should surely net a kill, but it won't. Swaith walks out alive. How on earth is that possible? It's not. Babip arrives and looks for more. He joins them on the Blast Cone journey into the river, and now this is bad news bears for Kisei. Halo decides he wants to flash over for the kill, and he gets it. 3-1 for the Peace lads, and that is going pretty swimmingly.
I mean, you see the play, right? If you are Chiefs, you also have read the play if you are Peace. They were prepared to teleport. The reaction time from Halo was actually quite fast, and the response from Babip on his reset was very fast also. Excellent shockwave from Halo. Really no way for Appy to do anything there, level 5, and you know, just resign to death. And you know, the fact that they're able to get the command dissonance on top of the ghost and the movement speed on the charge there from Hecarim actually buys him enough space and time. You know, he's able to get onto the blast gun with them, which all but secures 3 kills. And that is now a 2-0-1 Babip on Hecarim. He is going to be a monster.
Certainly is, when he's got a Karma and an Orianna to think about. We're seeing some interesting stuff, I'd imagine, this game from Peace. And already a rougher start for the Chiefs, so we might have thrown our lot in with the wrong team. But as has been the case in this split so far, I don't think you can really judge Chiefs by the first 5-10 minutes of the game. I think what we're going to expect from them is when things really start to ramp up, how are they going to sort of work through with that, and what's Mboma going to be able to do once he starts to scale on this Ziggs. So it doesn't look great right now for Chiefs. They're at a bit of a deficit in terms of the kills, but as far as the gold is concerned, they're actually even. In fact, they're slightly ahead. So I think it's actually better than it looks right now for the Chiefs.
There was most of that it has to be through top lane, right? Like the size of the waves that Appy missed as a result of that fight was significant. And for what it's worth, like this is what happens top lane. I never looked at it and actually reflected that internally towards the Chiefs. I actually just looked at Peace and said that was really well done. And that's a promising sign, because again, we're looking for signs of life from this squad, and that was another big sign beyond the bottom lane, which is the expected result.
Well, I think when you're going to get Halo onto Orianna, you're always going to have a solid performance from him. So far, so good. Babip as well, comfortable on the Hecarim. Well, Lift looking for some trades up in top lane, not able to actually get the better of them there, but we do see the Rift Herald going over to Swaith. And I am quite interested to see where he does head with that. Now, in the direction of the top lane, doesn't necessarily mean he's going to use it there.
Hunting for opportunities. Trundle Pillar is a massive tool that Appy has a hard time dealing with. I feel like the Trundle... Oh, hang on.
There it is. That might have been the step forward too far for Appy. He's forced to ultimate out. Now, does Swaith commit the Rift Herald? Doesn't look like it. Kisei won't survive. QW combo through from Halo, and obviously the chase in there from Babip. Bit too much. Kisei doesn't look too pleased.
trying to minimap read that play was difficult, but I believe there was an onslaught of shadows used, and Kisei tried to flash his way under turret. You know, the fact that Shockwave wasn't even necessary to secure the kill does scream that Babip did most of the work there. Halo's able to pick that one up for himself, of course. We'll see this one more time. It was a slow to start. Kisei ward hops. Yeah, it's just a flash follow-up. So this is what we saw of it. Well played from Babip, realistically.
Indeed. Business as usual down in the bot lane. Jakku hasn't really moved a whole lot just yet, and I think normally by the 10-minute mark we would have expected to see him out and about, but he has hit level 6 now, and I almost feel like that's the point in the game where it starts to become a bit more acceptable for the supports to roam. Especially for Mboma now with Mega Inferno Bomb available, should be able to make sure that he clears waves that are being a bit too much of a pressure point for him. Although, being a Zig's unlikely that's going to be the case. Still, Juicy Drag, who leave the bot lane, head towards the Dragon. Looks like Chiefs should get that one for free. Babip, I think, just came off a reset, so not really much he can do about that. But it is just a cloud.
Yeah, he'd shown his hand in mid lane as well, used the ultimate, gave opportunity, and Swaith didn't stay top lane to summon the Rift Herald. Was actually just helping to clear the wave. Bot lane going to have another little trade, but again, nothing really doing. Ziggs with just a lost chap that doesn't have one-hit potential just yet. And Lisa also with the cleanse if he feels threatened. Swaith, however, the tried and true strategy at this point in the day, isn't it, Jordan?
Yep.
Find the Ziggs, place the Herald where the Ziggs is, get the charge off, and try and break the turret.
That was almost very awkward timing on that mine, by the way.
That may have been perfect to like the single digits.
To
Not
the
just
frame.
in timing of the satchel, but the damage to the turret
Yeah.
was really close.
Oh, Shockwave in the mid lane. Kisei, what's he done that for? Babip dives right on top with Onslaught of Shadows, but Swaith is there. Well, I guess Kisei knew that Swaith was coming, so either way it was going to be a 1-for-1, maybe a 2-for-1. Does Swaith have enough to even survive against Halo? Maybe not. Bit of an overcommitment. Very easy to underestimate the damage an Orianna can do, and I think that might have been what happened.
Yeah, let's just take a second to appreciate that it is a 3-0-3 Orianna now, and you cannot afford to make those plays. Lisa is going to get smacked, but it's not going to result in a kill. At the end of the day, this is still pretty favorable for Peace, more than anything else. Mid is just winning. It is just winning by itself. Kisei does have his Gore Drinker, so does have some wave control, but the state of every Lee Sin lane is effectively, it's this. Can I step up to hit the minions, or do I die for it? And the answer is right now, you die for it.
Nice trade again from Lived. Certainly doing a bit of bullying up in that top lane, but he's not really being able to stretch that lead all that much. Only the 9-10 CS gap, which is really nothing to speak to. One thing to note, the Luden's Tempest just finished off for Halo. And, if you thought that was a lot of damage coming through from the Orianna just before, it's about to start really popping off now, because I always feel like the Ludens is the point at which Orianna goes from being, a bit of chip damage to actually starting to be some significant burst. Liv might be in a bit of trouble here. Does have everything available to him, though, and Babip perhaps quite aware of that. We'll just let him wander away.
Yeah, Babip with no ultimate as well. It does mean that he's not going to be able to get behind him to push him back towards Halo. Halo without flash means closing that distance is pretty difficult. Trundle just works the ground out and runs a little bit faster and is able to get himself out to safety pretty successfully. I think the game right now, strategically, while Drakes are important and there is one up in 2 minutes, I would still be looking at Herald if I was a Ziggs composition. So probably just play calm and measured around your ultimates, around summoner spells until such a time where Herald is the objective to put all of your focus towards.
Looks like that is going to be the name of the game right now for the Chiefs. Bit of back and forth between the two bot laners, who
Miss
are
a bomb, get a thumbs down.
incidentally in mid. Well, that one didn't miss, and Lisa's probably not too happy about that, although you've got to put 2 and 2 together and think, yeah, there's a ward there.
If this is a best of 5, I think that's currently a 1-1.
Yep, I'd say so.
Oddly invested in a Ziggs versus Ezreal, which is a very boring matchup where they realistically just shouldn't be interacting. The name of the game does revolve mostly around Swaith. Lived also going for this Trundle twice in a row. I do think the Divine Sunder Trundle is extremely oppressive.
Happy. Oof. Nice flash. Gets caught by the moonfall there, and he might be in trouble, but he's okay. Still, the pressure continues down in that bot lane for Lived. He's able to keep crashing those waves on the tower.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about Divine Sundara is, for me, it's more so that you can build whatever you want after it, right? You have one item, you can build tank, or you can build full carry, do like Blade of the Ruined King and split push till the cows come home. But it's that first item that's just so insane, being percentage of max health damage, so it's consistently powerful through the game.
There's that Rift Herald you talked about, and the Chiefs, unfortunately, will not be able to contest it. They had Mboma back in base, and Kisei on the reset as that Rift Herald did pop. So I guess they'll have to look towards the Dragon.
It's obviously a big win for Peace overall, however. Denying the potential of a free turret execute on the mid lane outer. Something that we haven't seen done too successfully in the past 2 games of the night. Navigating the map pretty wonderfully so far overall, I would say, Peace. You know, Chiefs are trying to make plays, they're being proactive, they're seeing their windows of opportunity, and they are executing on it. It's just that, you know, Peace continue to weather that storm and continue to fight back with resolve.
Well, how does Chiefs get into the river here? They've got Liv down on the bottom side, so they have that flanking angle, but is he enough of a threat to pull the rest of Peace away?
We should be watching Halo.
Half HP at the moment. Well, Halo does have that shockwave, as you say, and that seems to be enough to actually zone the Chiefs away. They'll try to go for the mid tower instead, and that's some nice zoning from your boy Ziggs. So they might just get this tower, courtesy, again, of the Ziggs W. Tower for Dragon, not too bad.
Yeah, particularly because it is only the second Dragon of the game for Peace, while it is the third overall. Ocean Soul, clearly going to be a significant deal for both compositions. I'd say because looking at team fights, you've got a Diana, you've got a Ziggs who can combo really nicely with Galio. A lot of that's magic damage. And your Trundle and Lee Sin being the physical damage, to me, I would favor Peace team fighting overall. I think it's pretty easy to build magic resistance and team fight if you were Peace. So with that in mind, Ocean Soul makes it really easy to be an Ezreal and to be a Viego if you're dealing with set members of the enemy team, right? Certain resistances, you can sustain through easily.
Jaku just walked over a ward, gave him a thumbs down. There you go. Well, Rift Maker is completed for Swaith, so big old mythic item picked up after the Nashor's Tooth. Starting to come online for the Diana. We don't have the Divine Sundara coming through for Violet on that Ezreal, which has been, you know, a common build, but starting to fall out of favor a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah, it got, what, a 3% damage nerf on ranged champions, which does seem to have tipped it over. Trinity Force has always been pretty good. It's just that item-wise, Divine Sundara was clearly a better option. There's also the Essence Reaver build, which most people seem to have veered away from in favor of the Trinity Force, which is curious. But this is 2 days in a row now where the only Ezreal build we've seen, I believe, is a Trinity Force.
Yep. I think that's correct. Babif looked like he wanted to go for a run for a second there, but Draku was well gone. Still, this could be interesting. The pillar knocks Babif up, but luckily he's got Onslaught of Shadows, and he will disappear pretty quickly. Appy able to jump out of there as well with the move speed provided, as he teleports right into the middle of the Chiefs. Not a huge cause for concern overall. A couple of big cooldowns utilized, though, by the Peace roster. So, Chiefs overall, a small win.
You take every win you can find at this point. No real significant advantages otherwise that start to be gained, right? So that's why you are able to take those small advantages. It's, what, 1,000 gold between the teams, but you've got a huge Orianna, so you've got clear points of disadvantage. We have to just quickly mention this because it's becoming more and more of an issue. The farm difference between these junglers is absurd. And looking at a 1,000 gold lead, I can't help but feel like most of it's there. Like, yes, there's turrets that have been taken. It's 2-0, about to be 3. But like, you can see it reflected in the total gold, right? Like, just compare where Babip is to Swaith. That is an obnoxious CS difference for 19 minutes in the game. Like, he is on the clock He is keeping up with the Ziggs.
Yeah, that's not easy to do when you're a jungler. Another pillar right on top of Halo. Won't stop him from taking the tower, so it's a trade for the bot tower and the top tower, which Chiefs did actually just manage to grab. Meanwhile, in mid, the shenanigans continue. And by shenanigans, I really mean not a whole lot. It's just Mboma and Violet farming.
It feels like we're starting to wait for second item spikes more than anything else. You know, dragons are going to be the excuse to look for combat.
Yep.
And I don't think either team feels massively pressured to force those engages. This could be one of those games that does start to just scale a little bit more. And so we can take a second here to talk about maybe the itemization more than anything else. It's not just the second items. We'll hold the thought for now.
Well, Halo certainly is in trouble. Shockwave to try and get himself anything. Actually did prompt the teleport down from Kisei, which in hindsight looks a little bit unnecessary, but maybe they were preempting a response from Peace.
Oh, that blue trinket, you can see it just at the bottom of your screen as it goes away. He's not in the bush. You were talking about really tragic little 1%ers that could mean a difference. That is definitely one of them, because it's not going to see someone walking in to flank you. That is just a very sad ward that does nothing. It could be a part of why the kill happens. In saying that, I do believe that Halo is quite illegally positioned in general and has given over a shutdown as well. Like
Gets
that
a
was
parking fine.
necessary. Yeah.
Ticket Inspector Rusty says no thanks for that one. Teleport back into the mid lane, this time from Halo. It looks like Peace are really quite prepared to contest this dragon. Kisei tries to get something done in mid. The flash and the kick is not enough to actually find the kill on the Appy. Chiefs are in trouble now, 4 on 5. They have the health advantage, and Boma could put that to good use, but overall not the trade that Chiefs were looking for.
They get quick flashes away from everybody, though. You know, it was a really nice combo that was potentially about to happen. It just misses. Peace with enough health to consider contesting, but I think they're just going to be a little bit too late to the fight. So the dragon does go over. But we just saw a Diana ultimate into a Ziggs ultimate hit 0 people. That's just because the quick fingers of Peace to disengage. They knew the state of that fight.
Yeah, but now they're down 3 flashes. So next fight could be a big deal. Swaith cops the shockwave and then some. Can't survive that.
Yeah, he may have a flash, he doesn't have an ultimate, and definitely just does not deserve to be in the position that he was in. Gets caught out nicely again. Peace, it seems like Chiefs make a play, Peace respond, and that does seem to be the game plan that we're pretty consistently following here. And that 1,000 gold lead that the Chiefs had has dissipated. Baron has been started.
Yeah, well, Swaith is going to be a long way away. 14 seconds on the respawn. Obviously doesn't have teleport to get back to this fight. So Peace are feeling confident in this Baron take, and it's going to have to be, 4 on 5, but Lisa's almost dead. Mega Inferno Bomb is doing a lot of damage right now. Certainly enough to keep Peace off the Baron. He almost got 1 shot.
Here's the thing, if that was a Luden Ziggs, that was probably a 1-hit.
Yeah.
Right, extra magic penetration from the Luden's mythic passive, but it's not going to be the case. They've got a dual magic damage comp, and I think he's opted in to go for the Leandries. The other day, they're going to walk away. Baron's going to be started. Nothing's going to be doing beyond that point. And I just wanted to take that second to bring up the Leandries, because the ability haste is really nice, right? By the end of the game, like when you have 3-4 items, your ultimate cooldown at level 16 is like 30 seconds. But at the same time, you're missing out on that extra damage, which is something that a Ziggs clearly should want. You know, hit a single bomb, half health someone instead of just burning them down. There's not a lot of tanks on the side of Peace either to warrant a Leandries burn. Yeah, look, for Swaith, that's the other place that I just wanted to briefly touch on as well, Jordan, in that he's gone for the Rift Maker instead of the Rocket Belt. For one of the primary engage sources on the side of the Chiefs, I do think that he might have wanted Rocket Belt, but this gives him a little bit more sustain to get through the fighting.
Yeah, which it seems kind of required by the Chiefs actually at this point, because some of these fights are sort of prolonged engages. And if you survive through the initial bursts of the Peace roster, then how much is there to follow behind that? I mean, I guess Violet is starting to become a bit more of a threat the longer this game goes. He's now finished off 2 items, looking for his 3rd, and funnily enough, a little bit of magic resist finding its way into the build with the Hex Shrinker. So that's already, you know, something that we had noted, that there was a lot of magic damage coming through for the Chiefs, and the itemization will obviously show that for the Peace roster. Now, Chiefs have found themselves in an interesting spot here. Dragku finds a nice engage, and Mega Inferno Bomb undodgeable this time. Into the back lines goes Swaith, and he survives inside Zhonya's. Somehow gets out of there still alive. But are there enough legs in this fight for the Chiefs? Well, it comes down to Lived and Kisei, I'd imagine. They're deep on top of Babip, chasing him down, trying their best, but in the end, Lived will fall. No, he won't. He'll just get back on out, but Violet is the one that is the threat. That Ezreal, when he is uncontested, starts to put a lot of damage through, and I mean, he doesn't get anything out of that fight, but he certainly sort of flexes his muscles a little bit.
I mean, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you here, Jordan, all he did was flex his muscles. I hope we get a replay of that fight because I want to actually put a lens onto Violet. After the ultimate goes wide, and it's not a very positive lens. It's the Chiefs that engage the fight. Nice little pick onto Lisa. Again, removing a lot of the shield is important there. Shockwave not available for Halo, so he's just going to try and run away. And now just watch Violet. This is what Ziggs does to you.
Yeah.
What do I do? Well, I'm going to E over. Well, I've thrown a Q and it's missed. What do I do? I've hit another of those mines. Oh, I'm zoned. Meanwhile, his team, maybe this was winnable if he was dealing damage, right? But
oh, definitely winnable if he was doing damage.
Just looking at the outcome of the health differences there. But yes, a very tragic fight from the AD carry of Peace. Because he builds the magic resistance, right? Builds the team fighting items. And just doesn't get a chance to team fight.
Well, I'm sure there's plenty more opportunities where that one came from. And you already started to sort of see what he could do if he got the opportunity to fire a few Qs in there. It was like 2 Qs that connected that put Mboma down pretty low. So keep an eye on Violet in this fight because Babip is going to send it. DoorDash delivery maybe here for the Peace lads. Onslaught of Shadows gets him right in there. But Swaith is also looking for some. A nice ultimate from him, but there's really not that much follow-up for the Chiefs. Kisei is there, Lived is there, but Mboma's not. And Dragku was dead. So it's a bit of an awkward, messy fight for the Chiefs. They don't like that one at all.
Yeah, not a big fan of that team fight if you were the Chiefs. Lived is going to be spotted here by a control ward. Lisa and Babip going to try and work together, and Mboma is just going to try and keep them at bay. Maybe look for the Dragon steal, but at the same time, if you look at the minimap, Baron's being done.
Yeah,
so the Chiefs have shown their hand in responding to the Dragon, and they're not going to be able to do anything about either objective, it seems, unless... Yeah. No, there's not even an ult, yeah. No. That's just both objectives gone from the team fight.
Well, while that Baron goes off, we'll have a look back at this replay here, and it's a rough one for Dragku. I think his E got cancelled by the wall?
Yeah, it did. He E'd the wall. And at the same time, you know, Swait's able to get a combo in, but it was in a losing situation. You don't have the Galio to follow up your zone of control. You don't have the Trundle Pillar set up appropriately. You know, there's just nothing following you. So he does what he can, Swaith, but it was already a losing situation. And you would say the best course of action there was just don't be there in the first place.
Well, slowly but surely starting to see this game fall away from the Chiefs. Lived has been caught out. What is the response going to be from the Chiefs? And is there even really the opportunity to have a response? It doesn't feel like it. If they push this mid lane in, the rotation will be through from the Chiefs in that, from the Peace roster in that time. And Violet's obviously untouchable. He's an Ezreal. So maybe they can get this tower down low enough for Mboma to use a satchel charge. They can. All right, well, again, not the worst trade in the world for the Chiefs, but it's what happens after that's the main question. Now, what's the response from Peace? Because it's a game of tug of war right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a kill for a turret, but a Baron buff Peace will be able to use that kill and translate that to a lot of lane control bottom, and then they're going to turn that towards mid as they push all of the Chiefs roster away to the top side river. So that's a couple of inner turrets that'll fall as well as the kill. And while Chiefs do get a turret themselves in mid lane, the result is still a net significant loss.
Well, it could be an inhibitor as well. Swaith only just getting back from his reset, and there is no potential engage for the Chiefs. So they just have to give up the inhib. Kisei and Lived are occupied down in bot lane. Oh. Shockwave is so good. Well done from Halo. Onslaught of Shadows. And there is just nothing to be done for the Chiefs. When players are dying like that, it's a rough time. Peace are going to get their second inhibitor. And the Chiefs just, it doesn't feel like they can fight.
Yeah, they're really on struggle street now. Peace have just broken 2 inhibitors cleanly. They're going to disengage for free here as well. And the snowball that they've had just gets accelerated faster and faster. They're stealing the enemy jungle on their reset as well, completely uncontested. This is one of those moments now where, you know, one more team fight loss, it's game over, you would have to say. And that's even considering that you've got an Ocean Soul for them in 2 minutes, as if they needed that extra cherry on top.
What's Swaith up to? Not sure he wins a fight against Appy. Appy with GA as well. He's going to spot him out. Chips in a night, they do go past one another. Although I suppose not unnoticed, so maybe the analogy does fall flat. Rotation coming through in the jungle here for Peace. Not afraid of the Chiefs at all. Babip is just leading from the front. I mean, you look at how confident he is. 5-1 and 9. He's not dying anytime soon.
So this comes back to my point that I made a long time ago, right? Build magic resistance to win team fights if you are Peace, and the opportunities for Chiefs are completely limited because their AD, their physical damage is just useless, realistically, right? You can't split push as Trundle and win the game, so what are you going to be able to do? The enemy team has stacked magic resistance, so your Fed members are going to be struggling. However, there is at least 2 Void Staffs online for both Emboma and Swaith, so they are going to still be able to do some damage.
I mean, the thing is, for the Chiefs composition, if you hit that combo, you're still going to do some pretty significant damage. So that's kind of what they need right now. Good damage coming through. Babip will cop the Sonic Wave from Kisei, but able to walk away relatively comfortably. You just want to see the Moonfall with the Mega Inferno Bomb comboed on top of one another. And, you know, maybe a Hero's Entrance in there as well if Chiefs get really the perfect fight. Cancel on the reset. Mega Inferno Bomb again on cooldown now for Emboma. It is a 66-second cooldown, so we're not quite hitting some crazy cooldown numbers just yet.
Yeah, not with the forced Void Staff third. Missing a bit of potential ability haste there and your other itemization choices. And Chiefs have picked a bush. They've been spotted in the bush by a sweeper. And unfortunately, that's it. Fight's
Well, Babip decides now is the time to go, and he does go, but he's really running around in the Baron Pit, or the Dragon Pit, not doing a whole lot, so he's going to have to wait, see what Chiefs can do with that time. Again, another good shockwave from Halo, and Appy will exterminate Dragku. Now it's on. Babip joins the fight once again. Appy, essentially 2 versus 1, and he's winning it. And in the end, there isn't really a whole lot here for the Chiefs. Violet eeing forward, feeling supremely confident. Lived will not survive. Violet has that cooldown done and dusted. And I'd say, Rusty, that might well be the end of the game because Appy has teleported up into the Nexus. And he's taken down that tower already. The rest of Peace will join him. And Peace will once again hand a defeat to the Chiefs. They've only lost 2 games this split, but both of them have been to this Peace roster. And that is some food for thought.
Yeah, I mean, this was a massive win for Peace, right? That's not only 2 games back-to-back for them. They have proven twice in a row that they are the kryptonite for the Chiefs and that they are able to get the victories against what is consistently, at the moment, our best team. And not only do they do all of that, they tie themselves in the standings at first in win-loss record, and head-to-head should put them outright first. So that's a massive win for Peace.
Massive win for Peace indeed. Mac, what are your thoughts on that game? It was a pretty prolonged one. The Chiefs really tried their best, but it never felt like they got control of that game at any point.
Yeah, it never really seemed like they were ahead, so to speak. Peace, you know, really keeping them thinking the whole time, and it just eventually got to the point where a couple of team fights didn't go the way that Chiefs wanted, and, you know, even towards the start, there was a few times when I was just looking at Halo, and he was just, I don't know if he was gifted a couple of outplays or if it was just, you know, him just outplaying his opponents, but he was having a pretty good time in the mid lane from the start and then hitting some pretty decent shockwaves throughout the game as well to set up those team fights. So, you know, I'd be looking at him to have that DoorDash player that delivered, maybe, as just from my opinion. What are you guys' thoughts on the play that delivered?
I mean, I just wrote it in the Discord at the same time, so I'm glad you asked. I personally would like Babip, I think, because he you know, he's not the person who has the teleport, but he is the person who's always in the right area, you know? He is the one actually giving the kills to Halo, and I think it would be, and this is just my opinion as someone who plays mid, I think it would be a crime to give it to Halo when Babip did so much work for him.
Yeah, and it was just, you know, even like this play here where Appy was able just to run rampant, and that's when you can really see the power of him coming through there on the Viego. Just so many things going right, and it felt like Chiefs were just a little bit all over the place in this match today. So they certainly did not get the justice they were looking for, but they did get an L, and now they are going to be tied in first place, however, not really. And look, head-to-head now, Peace have won 2 of the games against Chiefs. So no matter what happens in the round robin number 3, if both these teams end up at the top of the table, then Peace is going to get the win head-to-head. So that was a very big victory for them to get today on the board. Jordan, though, tell me about these numbers. They look pretty good.
They do look pretty good across the board there for the Peace roster. I mean, you've got obviously Halo leading the charge. He did a fair bit of work on the Orianna, certainly was enabled to do so. You know, Violet obviously sort of chiming in there as well. I felt like he didn't really have as much impact in that game. Certainly not as much as he had yesterday. But overall, I don't think you can complain really across the board there for Peace at all. And
I have a question, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Can we give the DoorDash player that delivered to coaches?
What's that?
I just think that Midlord probably deserves it.
I don't think the player that delivered can be given to coaches. Just
no,
purely
I got confirmation
players
that we cannot.
That makes me sad.
Well, they're not a player, so
I know,
they can't be the
like,
player that delivered.
But like he's delivering draft, you know. Oh well.
Oh, well, look, maybe Midlord can make his debut in the DoorDash LCO at one point. You know, they've been swapping up the players every now and then here for Peace, so maybe Midlord's next in the Rift. What do you reckon?
Halo's job is in jeopardy.
We'll find out if he really is a Lord of Mid after that.
Okay, well, gentlemen, because we've already discussed the player that delivered, we are going to be awarding that to the big man, Babip. So congratulations, Babip, for the performance in the jungle. Certainly getting that dub and, you know, setting the team up for victory. 84% kill participation, running around like a maniac there on the Hecarim, and just doing God's work, Rusty.
Yeah, I mean, Babip was my choice, as you all heard moments ago. For me, it's his presence of mind to be in all of the right places at all of the right times. You know, he was very proactive in where he was positioned, and this is a Babip that we kind of expected a lot more of, right, when he joined the Peace squad. And it's the type of game where you saw in the damage as well. It's not just the Violet show. This was a Peace win, and this was a very comprehensive Peace win, and he is a main part of the cog that keeps the wheel turning.
And he's got himself a $100 DoorDash voucher as well to buy himself some either late dinner or maybe some dinner
something for Midlord.
Buy something for Midlord. Yes, share the love. You know, you're all in the house together. You know, just split it. What's like 7 ways? You can
$100, by the way, is more than one person's worth of food. So
yes,
when you say buy some for Midlord, definitely, I reckon that's a play.
Especially with the Dash Pass, and you're getting 2 meal deals from Red Rooster for the price of 1.
Wait, you could get $16 for two meals. How many meals is that with a $100?
It's a lot of HSPs without salad as well.
Yeah, true.
Wow. Well, speaking of HSPs with salad, let's bring Jubes back into the conversation. That's his favourite DoorDash order.
That doesn't make sense at all.
Jubes is back in the conversation.
You weren't here yesterday, Elfish. So
no, I wasn't.
Jubes was worried. He's like, "Oh, did I commit a sin? I got a HSP, but I got it with salad." And I was like, "I don't know. It's fine with me."
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like, I don't trust the guy that puts tomato sauce on his HSP anyway.
Yeah, but hang on. What are your thoughts on rice on HSP instead of chips? I know you guys talked about that yesterday too.
Even worse. Apparently, I got Violet. Violet, I had to get out of that situation. I don't know if you heard, but they're talking about like tomato sauce on HSPs and whatnot. Don't even worry about that. What a win for you. How are you feeling after that? Love to see it.
Yeah, we're feeling like we were super happy about that win, because honestly, like, we have been like in-house scrimming like the past like few days, because like we wanted more practice with Lisa on support, because I honestly like I was like a bit like nervous about the role swap, because yeah, I mean Aldoc's like a great player, so I was like really nervous playing with a new support, and like we had to build up synergy, so we did some in-house scrims, and they weren't going so hot, so like we just tried our best and we ended up with a dub.
Sometimes I find when you perform the worst in scrims that actually just you flourish on stage. I don't know what it is, but the other thing I wanted to, I guess, talk about, it feels like individually you all hit your stride this game. I mean, Halo and Babip, maybe the best performances that we've seen from them in a Peace jersey this split. Is there like a breath of fresh air, maybe a little bit of a resurgence? How's the feeling now? I guess even though you've got the wins, a little bit of relief, but in terms of individual performances, it felt so good.
Yeah, I think like last split, like the game was like more bot side meta, so it was like really easy for me to carry games. Like last split, I pretty much just shot on all the other bot lanes, like in the LCO, like it was piss easy. But I think like this split, the meta isn't really so bot orientated, so it's like I'm pretty much just like a last option to carry. Like I'll be like the last line of defense, but I'm really happy that my teammates were able to like turbo smurf and carry me that game.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, now this actually takes you to equal for. I don't know if you follow the standings as a player, and if you don't, I'm sorry. Well, now you know that you're equal first, but because of head-to-head, you're actually on top of the Chiefs. Do you feel now with where you're at? Obviously, Lisa being slotted in. Are you now the best team in the league? Is that how you're feeling? Is that the or do you think you know, still a bit of figuring out to do?
I think I don't like tend to think about standings too much, to be honest. Like I just think about like I'm always confident about like my own individual skill. I think like I'm like currently I'm the best bot lane in the league by far, and I don't know, like as long as like I play my heart out, like every game I don't go into like games thinking that I'm like first place. I go into games thinking that like every game matters. I have to try my heart out, but I still have like full confidence in my abilities to win every single lane, every single matchup. So.
Well, it's always a pleasure watching you style on Summoner's Rift, and you know, congratulations on the win, and I'm sure we'll see you on Friday again.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jeeves.
Thank you.
You could hear the excitement in the background there as they found out who the player that delivered was, as well as the stream went live. So good to see that the boys from Peace are certainly getting behind themselves. But look, ladies and gentlemen, we do have one more game this evening, and thanks to Warner, we do have Slumber Party by Ashniko for you guys to listen to at least one more time before we get into the final game of the day, which is going to be Dire Wolves taking on Pentanet. Let's see how this one goes just after the break.
They've been spotted in the bush by a sleeper. And unfortunately, that's it. Fights on.
Well, Babip decides now is the time to go, and he does go, but he's really running around in the Baron pit, or the Dragon pit, not doing a whole lot, so he's going to have to wait, see what Chiefs can do with that time. Again, another good shockwave from Halo, and Appy will exterminate Dragku. Now it's on. Babip joins the fight once again. Appy essentially 2